Hey, what is going on, guys? Nick Addiction 1984, and feeling a little shit today. Something just feels off, and I decided to kind of come on and do a video, see if I can cheer myself up. Hope I'm not heading in for that funk that I'm usually used to heading into. Anyway, we're taking a look at this time around, it's a Mcfarlane 1/4 scale figure, or 18-inch figure, and we're taking a look at Freddy Kruger from A Nightmare on Elm Street. Right off the bat, um, this was one of those pieces that was extremely hard to come by. I had to really search high and low for this dude, and I eventually got him last summer. I think it was around about, yeah, it was around about April actually last year. So I've had him for just over a year. He's 21 years old now. This guy was originally released back in 2000, and he was part of the movie Maniacs line. But this was just like one of those figures. Now, I'm not a massive Freddy Krueger fan. I sort of spoke about my opinions on people who kind of just buy things that don't really have any knowledge of the character, or they just do it because it looks good in their collection. Well, because I have seen A Nightmare on Elm Street, obviously this fits in with the collection. If I hadn't seen any of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, then I wouldn't have bothered buying him. But he had to be one that needed to fit into the collection. I haven't seen all the Nightmare on Elm Street films, and I only really tend to watch the first one and don't really have much of an interest in the Freddy Krueger character. I've always been more kind of Leatherface, but I got this, like I said, because I had seen Nightmare on Elm Street and I saw the remake. But obviously this is the Freddy Krueger portrayed by Robert Englund, the one and only Freddy Krueger, if you will, as fedora does come off. So this was an early piece by Mcfarlane, and this was, I remember the first time I ever saw this figure, a friend of mine brought him in for show and tell when we were, so 1999, I probably been about 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old when I first saw this Freddy. And it freaked the shit out of everybody in class when he brought him in. But this was at a point where the movie Maniac line was really, really taken off. And these figures were never really meant for kids. They were kind of more in the line for adult collectors at the time, because us boys had Jack's WWF Titantron Live figures with Bone Crunchers and all that stuff. So when this kind of figure started to be released, it was something completely and utterly different. And my friend flipped out for them. I mean, he got this Freddy, he got Michael Myers, Leatherface, The Fly, a couple of the Terminator ones. But when he brung out the 18-inch Freddy Krueger, I was immediately hooked. Like, we had never really saw figures this size before. And the fact that it represented a horror movie just made it all the much more sort of cooler, you know, because no one else was doing these kind of things. And I mean, these were typically your big boys' toys at the time, but this Freddy, I mean, for his age, I mean, I'm still taken back. Like I said, this was one of those figures that I needed to have, just because it was more for the nostalgia of remembering that day when we did show and tell. So I was lucky enough to still have all the knives attached. This hasn't had any repairs done to him. His arm is a little flimsy now. If I try and pick it up, it'll just kind of come back down again. So we try not to display it too much. He's kind of sitting in a box under my bed anyway. But yeah, this is a piece that I'm really happy with. You can just see all the sculpting in the sweatshirt, the wrinkles and stuff. Just absolutely crafted to perfection. I love the way that Mcfarlane were able to capture the details in their characters. They almost kind of come off a little bit cartoonish nowadays when you look at them in comparison to what other companies are doing with these kind of characters now. But for the time being, these things were ahead of their time. So here's a sound activated or motion activated. I think he only says the one phrase. Pick the button for him.
No running in the hallway.
I might as well need to take the battery out of him at some point. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy having a look at him.
No running in the hallway.
I'll take that as a cue to sign out. I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Thanks for checking it out. As always, I appreciate your views on the videos.